Next, we are moving on to the last session of the day in the topic of international collaboration and cooperation to achieve sustainable energy transition. Next, please allow us to introduce to you the session chair. Please.
Thank you. We have the honor of Commissioner Bantoon Sethsirot to chair this session. Mr. Bantoon and Dr. Bantoon has been quite well known in Thailand about protection of environment and try to keep us safe from harm, from environmental harms. And he has been a very active partner in many forums dealing with sustainability and environmental protection. Mr. Bantoon, please chair the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, please allow me to introduce to you our speaker for this session. Start from Mr. Bajia Kurt, Regional Technical Specialist for Climate Change and Energy Forum, UNDP. Please welcome. And next, welcome Mr. Reinhold Alges, Country Director for Thailand and Malaysia from GIZ. Please. And next, please welcome Mr. Konradin Razi. Please welcome. From Swiss Embassy. Last but not least, Mr. Brandon Wilson from US Embassy. Please welcome.
Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome all of you to the last session of today. We have intensive program. You may notice that we run behind the schedule. Anyway, we can reschedule. As Professor Sutham told me. And this is the interesting and important session because in order to achieve the carbon neutrality and net zero emission targeting by all 7 ASEAN countries that we heard, international collaboration and cooperative is a quite important criteria for the success. So we will hear for all distinguished panelists what the project going on and what will be the future project to support our target. Now I will introduce the first panelist, Mr. Bhatia Kurt. Now he working as Regional Technical Specialist of UNDP. He has more than 20 years of experience in environment and energy sector. Now I give the floor to you.
Thank you. Shall I use this to help?
No, that's the laser. You can, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice meeting you all, and thanks for the invitation. I'm honored to be here. I should say that I am quite new to the region and also to the Bangkok. I'm here for just a bit more than a month. So just as an introduction, as you mentioned, I'm working as a regional technical specialist covering the Asia and the Pacific region. So a lot to learn actually from the region. In this presentation, I will briefly present how UNDP work in the energy space and what's our approach. So I will try to be very quick, actually. So, well, without saying, UNDP is the development organization or development part of the UN system. That's why poverty, inclusiveness, resilience, these are part of our mandates. But then in our strategy, you can see that there are like 4 or 5 big moonshots, and energy is one of them. That's because without energy, there is no development, so to say. That's why it plays a big role in our current work. How do we approach? Of course, it's a big and complex issue. And then our approach focuses on 3 pillars. One of them is access to energy and also clean cooking solutions and etc. The other one is the energy transition that we have been talking about it today. And then of course the energy resilience issue. So we have this big moonshot and the time is closing basically on us, and we need to achieve 500 million people accessing electricity, clean cooking and other solutions in 2 years. But we are not starting from the zero. We are already in the 50 million benchmark, thanks to our work in, especially in the Africa region with off-grid, mini-grid solutions. We work with other partners to achieve this moonshot, which is also supported by our finance hub, our innovation and digital hubs. As UNDP, we have various programs globally, but I want to mention one tool that we are using, which relates to what we have been talking today. It's the de-risking renewable energy. This is a tool, and there is a good report on that. I really suggest you to have a look. This is comparing the renewable energy investment cost with the fuel-based ones, fossil fuel-based ones like natural gas, and compares the investment cost. And you can see from the report that there's a reasonable amount of financial cost associated with the renewable energy. This is coming from the certain risks, such as like connectivity to grids, national baseline in the country, and several other risks. And then the reports comes up with solutions how we can de-risk these issues through political, regulatory, or other solutions to decrease this financial cost, so that it comes to a level with the fossil fuel-based ones. So I really suggest you to have a look. So this is a tool we apply in our projects. So one advantage of UNDP is being everywhere, basically. We are in more than 150 developing countries, and we have offices, country offices in these countries. So also supporting that, we have 5 regional offices, Bangkok being one of them, which is covering Asia and the Pacific region. Other than that, we have Sustainable Energy Hub, and then we have Climate Change Hub, and then Chemicals and Waste. And energy is a cross-cutting one, of course, without saying. I just want to show you some numbers from our portfolio. You can see that UNDP has ongoing projects, like more than 120 projects currently, and which is comes up with $500 million US. So these are projects everywhere, basically. You can see only the one part of the map. Looking at our region, Asia and the Pacific, I'm talking about only vertical fund projects, which means like projects funded by donors, such as Global Environmental Facility, GEF, or Green Climate Funds. So we have like more than 30 projects ongoing and in the pipeline in different countries. As you can see, unfortunately, there is no project in Thailand yet. But this is only vertical fund projects, but we have other projects coming up with other bilateral donors, and we have some projects in the Thailand office too. So this is the map of the vertical fund projects. So this is the region we are covering, basically. And then, yes, what UNDP does in its projects. I just try to come up with some 4 different parts. Of course, the biggest bunch of projects is under renewable energy, like for the access and also for the energy transition. And solar is our biggest work, basically, solar PV. This is on-grid solar and also off-grid solar when it comes to the access side. On the energy efficiency side, we focus on buildings, residential and public buildings, and lighting solutions, and also appliances and cooling. And the third one is green cities or sustainable cities. This is a place where we focus on first the design of urban areas, and then how can we tackle the decarbonization issues through the design, in planning, and etc. And then we look at other like urban issues like mobility, like, again, residentials and everything. And this is where we also focus on natural-based solutions like passive houses and also having biodiversity, green areas in the city and also in the peri-urban areas as well. How can we connect the city with the ecosystem services that are just nearby, basically. So, and then finally, sustainable transport work. Again, UNDP's priority is to look at urban mobility. For us, public transport is the backbone of the mobility, and also we try to come up with solutions on first mile and last mile connectivity to the public transport. For all of them, again, one big principle for UNDP is to have everything with 2 words, basically. First word is just, making everything just, as other presenters mentioned. And then second one is how we can, how can we, you know, include everyone without leaving no one behind. So, for example, when I'm looking at e-mobility, if UNDP has a project on electric buses, half of the project is really deploy those electric buses through like financial solutions, policy solutions and everything. But then the other half is how do we ensure this is good for everyone? How can we ensure that these transport modes are safe for women, for girls? Or how do we ensure that it's accessible by everyone? So we look at solutions like safety solutions, for example, from door to bus, you know. So it's not only operating electric buses. So that's our, basically, approach. And I want to give you, oops. Yeah, one example, and then I will close. This is one of the projects we recently closed, and it's looking at e-mobility in Bhutan. And then thanks to this project, we achieved like more than 280 taxis, like commercial taxis, were replaced by electric vehicles. And this was done through a special financial tool where government provided guarantees to a bank, and then these taxi drivers could get like 70% of the cost through, you know, bank loan. Where they pay no interest, basically, and they pay it back in 7 years. And our project, Jeff project, paid for the 20% of this incremental part, and then the owners only pay the 10%. So this helped basically like transition to electric taxis in Bhutan in 4 or 5 years. Now it's time to scale up, of course. It doesn't stop there. And then project also demonstrated like, you know, DC and AC charging solutions across roads. So this is how we work, basically. Trying to create this enabling environment through demonstrations, policy, regulations, and standards. And yes, this is it. And you can reach out to me with this through my email. Yeah, maybe I can pass.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bhatia. We have seen a lot of projects under implementation around the world, and also opportunity to work with UNDP in the future, covering energy transition and climate change. Thank you so much. For the next panelist will be Mr. Wilhelm Elgest from German International Corporation, GIZ. Mr. Wilhelm is now working as Country Director, Thailand. Now you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so many times. Thank you to ERC for putting this wonderful event together and for inviting us to be part of it in this beautiful convention center as well. I'm happy to talk to you a little bit about energy and our collaboration. We're running a bit short on time, so I'll try to be quick. I have a bad reputation among my team with timekeeping. I try to be better today. Let's see, it's very interesting to hear the speeches. I could not be here all day, but I'm sure to check out also the presentations, because just the last panel was already quite inspiring, and I would love to also stay on and engage in conversations with the colleagues. Also very interesting to note that bilateral energy cooperation seems to be male and bearded with Thailand. Quite interesting to note the similarities between us. Who are we as GIZ, the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit? We are a service provider in the field of international cooperation for sustainable development. We're owned by the German government. A lot of our work is bilaterally organized and funded. We work in more than 120 countries around the world, have around about 25,000 staff and around about 180 here in Thailand. Work in many sectors, and what we are basically doing in most of the sectors we're working in is we manage change by providing know-how and co-developing solutions with our partners to help make development sustainable worldwide. And of course, sustainable also means just, leaving no one behind. Thailand and Germany are strategic climate partners for 15 years now. And what it did to our portfolio is what you see here on this slide. So basically we started out working with Thailand on climate policy, formulation of ambitious climate policy goals, international commitment, national climate policy, etc. But then we all know to meaningfully address the climate crisis, the accelerating climate crisis, we need fundamental transformations of all actors and all sectors of our society and economy. And it is not surprising that focusing on climate change and being funded largely by climate finance, we find ourselves basically in all economic sectors here in Thailand. Be it obviously the energy transition that we're talking about today, but also how we grow food and consume food and manage food waste, how we move around, organize urban city development and transport, and overall how do we deal with our natural resources, and how can we move increasingly fast to circularity. Don't want to go into all the details, just to give you an overview of the portfolio, and happy to engage if you have questions. The contact is in the presentation. So on energy, we've heard a lot today already about Thailand's goals and of course the framework, the Sustainable Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, Thailand's long-term low-emission development strategy, greenhouse gas emissions, net zero to 65, carbon neutrality 50. And the nationally determined contributions, the NDC, kind of like as the measuring rod, the milestones on the way to achieving the goals of the long-term strategy. At the heart of that is, of course, energy, and our engagement in the energy sector has therefore also broadened in recent years. You all learned about the challenges in the sector. We're usually talking about how can we increase renewable energy as much as possible, as fast as possible. What do we need in terms of flexibility management? Then how do we structure the grids to be compatible with this new energy mix? And what market design can be supportive of such a new environment? So those are the the key things, and you think, basically it's a technological, if you want, discussion. But of course it's not. It's a political discussion. It's a discussion about social transformation, about the jobs of the future, the companies going to leading the energy sector in the future. And those are really deep structural changes any economy is going through. And can assure you, back in Germany, the transformation is in full speed, and it's full of heated debates and discussions. In Germany, we have moved the climate coordination mandate from the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources to the Ministry of the Economy, because we realize in order to actually implement our ambition, our international ambition in Germany, we have to get to the core of things. And the core of an industrialized economy like Germany is in the Ministry of Economy. But those are fundamental transformations, and we've already heard from several panelists before, those call into question core business models. Our CEO from Banpu has already shared parts of that journey, and I don't want to be in your shoes. Trying to match how fast can we be in our transition, how fast can we move to renewables, how long can we safely stay in the traditional business sector. Here, just a little bit again, like how do we actually support the Thai government in its transformation plans? Again, at the top you see the policy goals that I mentioned. Of course, what they require is an improved national framework and national framework conditions for the implementation of these goals. And here is where we come in with energy policy planning and implementation towards the energy transition. I cannot go into all of these points, just want to mention a few. I think quite interesting work that we've done was on narrative change towards evidence-based energy transition. If we want to change things fundamentally, we have to call into question so many things. It's sometimes difficult to have informed conversations, because it's difficult to imagine what's possible. And this is where evidence-based approaches are quite helpful to change conversations, bring in new voices, and see how can we move the needle towards sustainability. We've done that through our regional program CASE, and more important than, I guess, doing the studies underlying these new narratives is to actually have these conversations, organize the stakeholder dialogues from the energy sector, and see how we can move forward. I said a lot about putting things into action. I want to move to the right-hand side, climate finance funding for local projects implementation. We just launched together with MONRE, together with the Environmental Fund, the new Thai Climate Initiative. It's a dedicated fund to put climate actions on the ground, funding actors on the local level mainly. And the interesting and innovative part, I think, is that it is open to both public and private actors, so also for small and medium-sized enterprises. And it's key to bring these actors in and to become part of our transformation. Making people part of that journey is also what we do on the bottom right, implementation of just transition pathways. You may know that Germany, for instance, is traditionally also quite a coal electrification country. Coal is kind of like at the heart of German industrialization. And it costs us painfully much money to move away from coal. Still does. Still my children will pay for that. It's a huge investment and a huge societal effort to move towards a new energy system there. But not only an energy system, it's about having a conversation about local structural changes. What is the future of a coal mining region? What new business will be there? What jobs will be needed in the future? How do we create opportunities? It's important to have these conversations, and here we're coming in with a global program connecting different regions around the globe who are struggling to meet the demands of this transformation. We heard a lot about hydrogen. We have also our hydrogen project. It's interesting because it really tries to bring in from the beginning private sector and see, okay, what are actually in Thailand's economy of the future the use cases for green hydrogen? Obviously, I'm also only talking about green hydrogen in this regard. Where does it make sense? Kun Sumitra, I would love to compare notes with you as we move forward. Just a couple of examples. Now, the Thai-German cooperation on energy, mobility and climate is a new project. We're going to kick it off probably in October, I believe. And the partnership is under formalization as we speak. So the objective of this multi-year engagement is to empower key actors in Thailand, of which there are many, to plan and implement these transformative activities in. And here we have maybe the innovative aspect in energy transport in industry sectors. So sector coupling is at the heart of this project. I will not tell you in detail more about this project. I will just show you how beautifully complex it is, working in different sectors on different components, a partnership with many, many actors in the public sector, but also from academia, from the private sector on board. If that sparks any interest, please do reach out and connect, because this is a project that lives and thrives off cooperation with many stakeholders in order to put policy into action. This is basically in a nutshell what this project TGC EMC is doing with regard to the energy sector specifically. So again, it's about energy policy planning, grid management analysis, sector integration. But also, and here we see similarities, and we're partnering, of course, also with those actors in what IGAD is trying to do. We just learned from the representative about trying to pilot measures. If you want to have fundamental transformations, we need to put things into practice. We need to do it fast. We have to probably often fail fast and then make it better, because we don't know all of the answers. We know many answers, and we should for sure implement them as fast as possible, but we need that space for innovation. And what we're going to do with the City Lab, probably in the Eastern Economic Corridor, is doing exactly that. And I also invite you to be part of that. So, summarizing maybe my tour de force is that GIZ, on behalf of the German government, is committed to supporting Thailand to accelerate the energy transition, because it is all about acceleration, to of course maximize greenhouse gas mitigation and achieve the global and national targets that Thailand has set itself. And just listening to some of the presentations before, of course, I would like to share my great admiration for Thailand for being a very, how do you say, very effective policy planning country, if you want. I came here 3 years ago and I was wondering, oh, they're doing so many great things. The administration is so powerful. Their planning is so good. Why are they not more ambitious in terms of international goals? And I learned quite quickly that Thailand is only going to commit publicly to something that they know they will implement. And that is a good approach. Germany did not do that. We pledged a lot and then we tried to figure out how we can actually implement. Both approaches probably have their merit. In the end of the day, it's important how fast they can spur innovative action. Because those plans for 2050 and 65, they will not last till 2050 and 65. They will be constantly adapted, and of course I hope that they will be adjusted upwards, that the renewable energy uptake will be faster and bigger, that the energy efficiency targets will be also faster, that we will drive innovation together, learning from each other, because this is a transformation that is happening globally. And for ERC, thanks again very much for inviting us. It's key to also have you on board alongside all the government counterparts. I'm looking really forward to the collaboration with all of you. And I'm also apologizing for almost taking my 50 minutes, despite all good efforts to be faster. But at least I stayed in time, Kunchakan. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Kun Renho, for your informative information presentation, and also a lot of GIZ project contribution to Thailand for a long time. I just have one question. When you mentioned to the project Thai-German EMC, the keyword City Lab, what is the scale for the city? Small area, big area, how big of the city?
As everything that we are doing, it depends on Thailand to define. So we are thinking actually of different city lab scenarios. We are hoping to work with Bangkok, but obviously Bangkok is a challenging lab situation. So it probably has to be a targeted subsector in a setting like Bangkok. But that's why I mentioned the Eastern Economic Corridor. You can think about integrated industry, mobility, renewable energy management pilots in such a setting. You know, probably looks very different from like going to other cities like Khon Kaen or metropolises like that. So we're open to that, and the colleagues, if you have suggestions, are over there to find. It's not us to select, it's actually about our political partners to define where they would like to try out these initiatives in the implementation.
Okay, thank you. The next panelist will be the panelist from Swiss Embassy, Mr. Corradin Razi. He took up his current position as Deputy Head of Mission at the Embassy of Switzerland in Thailand in August 2021. Please.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for holding out. Thank you for keeping the time. Thank you for ERC for inviting us. I'm very happy to be here on behalf of the embassy. I also brought one colleague with me, and more importantly, Ms. Vicky Janssen from the Click Foundation, and you will hear later on why that is important. Should you have an interest to dive more into what I'm about to say, then please contact us, Swiss Embassy, or Ms. Janssen in the back. I'm delighted to talk a little bit about the e-bus project in Bangkok, and I will also take the opportunity to speak a bit more generally about the cooperation between Switzerland and Thailand in the framework of the Paris Agreement, which was concluded already 8 years ago. Time passes very quickly, and I think it's very important that we really get serious in implementing this agreement in all its aspects. We all know that global warming is probably the most pressing issue of our times, and both Thailand and Switzerland will be among the countries most severely impacted by climate change. I think that's fairly undisputable. The impact will be different, but it will be quite severe for both countries. Therefore, both governments are strongly committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and to fight against climate change and global warming. Thailand, you will have heard that many times today, has committed to carbon neutrality by 2050 and net zero by 2065. Switzerland, actually more ambitious, committed to reach net zero by 2050 already. And both countries, and that's crucial, have actually recognized that in order to reach these ambitious goals, it makes sense to work together. Cooperation, international cooperation between countries makes a lot of sense in many areas, but also in the area of fighting climate change. And the Paris Agreement actually provides us with exactly this opportunity. And it's one article in particular, it's Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement. If you want to look it up, I don't have the wording by heart, but that's the article that we are actually working on together with Thailand. And the article, very broadly speaking, allows countries to trade emission reductions and therefore improve and accelerate their own target achievements when it comes to the nationally determined contributions. So the traded credits are called internationally transferred mitigation outcomes, or ITMOs. That's quite technical and sounds quite complicated. It's not that complicated. In the end, I will come back in a minute. So just for the background, the cooperation between Thailand and Switzerland in this area started already 2017. The first talks took place, and then in 2021, our two countries signed a bilateral agreement on climate change cooperation. And then more crucially, last year in June, our two environment ministers signed a bilateral agreement to implement Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement. And we think, and we are convinced that this is actually a win-win situation, because under this agreement, Thailand profits already and will profit even more from investments from Switzerland in domestic clean energy projects, so projects in Thailand. And therefore, Thailand will be able to take advantage of an accelerated low-carbon transition. It's important to note that the financial support from Switzerland in that framework, and it actually comes not from the Swiss government, but it comes from the CLIC Foundation that I mentioned before. The money comes from the CLIC Foundation, which is mandated by the Swiss government. It's not tied to in any way to benefiting Swiss companies in Thailand. It's actually, the money will be spent on any project that makes sense and that is in accord with the conditions set out by the agreement. So the money will actually stay in Thailand, the project will stay in Thailand. It's only that for some years the carbon emissions that are saved by projects will be credited to Switzerland for until 2030 actually. So Switzerland will be able to reduce the emissions saved in Thailand from its own targets until 2030. But beyond that date, the projects that are implemented in Thailand will actually continue to save emissions in Thailand, and all of these emissions, Thailand will be able to reduce them, to credit them to their NDC achievements. So private sector plays an important role. Governments cannot do this on their own, and it's very important that we have private sector on board. And now we come to the Bangkok e-bus project. It actually involved a Thai company, Energy Absolute. They work together with us, with the CLIC Foundation and the Swiss government on this. And actually the project is very simple. Money from the CLIC Foundation contributes to replacing fossil fuel powered buses, public buses in the Bangkok metropolitan area. It's actually thousands of buses, if I'm not mistaken, 2,000 buses already have been replaced. Fossil fuel powered buses by e-buses, so it's very concrete. It's a very concrete and positive impact on the air quality in Bangkok, but also, of course, in the reduction of carbon emissions in Bangkok. This is the first project, and so far the only project, and we have only cooperated for a year, so it's no surprise that we don't have a large pipeline of projects yet. But of course, we are, and the CLIC Foundation is highly interested and committed to actually implement many more projects in this framework. Now you may ask yourself, okay, what kind of projects are possible? So the discussions is very important. There are actually quite a lot of conditions attached to implementing these projects, but they are by no means prohibitive. So we just have to find the right projects, and then in a very unbureaucratic way, the funds can actually be transferred to Thailand to implement such projects. It's mainly in the energy and transport field, such as the e-bus, but it's not by no means limited to these sectors. So as you ended, I would also leave it there. I'm sure there are a lot of questions open, but the main takeaways are there are funds from Switzerland to invest in clean technology projects in Thailand. The funds are there, they're ready to be invested. You just need to find the right projects. So if this sparks interest, if you have ideas of such projects, then don't hesitate to contact us at the embassy or Ms. Janssens at the CLIC Foundation. I'll be very happy to discuss with you whether this area that you're interested in could be one of the next projects. I hope that next time we meet in this framework, perhaps we will talk about your project, about the second project that we have implemented between Thailand and Switzerland under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Thank you very much for your attention, and thanks again for the invitation.
Yes, thank you, Khun Koradin. The bilateral agreement between Thai and Switzerland is the first and famous project, and it's a good model for win-win cooperation between two countries. And we look forward to have the next one for the second project.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And the last but not least panelist come from the U.S. Embassy in Bangkok, Mr. Brandon Wilson. Mr. Brandon became the Deputy Economic Consular at U.S. Embassy Bangkok in August 2022. Before he came here, he covered economic, energy, and trade policy issues in many countries. For example, Iraq, Zambia, Venezuela, and Mexico. Please, Mr. Brandon.
Thank you, ERC Commissioner Buntoon. And thanks to my co-panelists. I've learned a lot already. So I just want to, the purpose of my presentation really is to just give an overview of the United States cooperation with Thailand to achieve its renewable and sustainable energy transition. Starting kind of with the big policy framework, addressing climate change and facilitating the energy transition are really among the top priorities of the U.S. administration and the Biden administration. I think so many of us realize this really is the challenge of our time. No country can do it alone, and I think we're very pleased that Thailand sees this challenge in the same way and has been a really great partner, including the net zero and net carbon neutrality goals that were mentioned earlier. And our goal is really to work with Thailand in helping accelerate this transition. So starting kind of with our overall framework for how we work with Thailand, we established the U.S.-Thailand Energy Policy Dialogue in 2020. And this really serves as our platform to discuss energy cooperation. We just hosted our third energy dialogue in Washington of this year. And we're using these very senior dialogues to discuss how to strengthen our cooperation on policy issues, technical assistance, and also on commercial engagement. And so most recently, our dialogue focused on how we can help with new technologies that would accelerate Thailand's energy transition, from carbon capture to hydrogen research to battery storage, EV supply chains, and infrastructure. And we are in the final stages of releasing the most recent work plan, but as you'll see, a lot of this work is already underway. So moving kind of to covering technical cooperation, the U.S. has so many different agencies that are working in Thailand and have so many resources that are really focused on the renewable and sustainable energy transition. So this morning, you heard from my colleagues from the U.S. Trade and Development Agency and USAID's Southeast Asia Smart Power Program. We also have ongoing programs with the Department of Energy, the Department of Commerce, and the Department of State's Energy Bureau, State's Bureau of Energy Resources. And so one of the latest initiatives that I'm excited about is the Net Zero World Initiative under the Department of Energy. And so it was launched in 8 countries, and in Southeast Asia, Thailand was the first partner to sign up, followed very quickly by Singapore and Indonesia. This initiative really focuses on shared collaboration with 10 of the Department of Energy's labs. And these labs are where the U.S. is doing the most, recent, most cutting-edge research on energy transition technologies. And the purpose of this is really to harness the collaborative research with other countries. And so as part of Net Zero World with Thailand, we've decided to focus on energy modeling, EVs and energy storage, energy efficiency, and frontier technologies like CCUS. In addition, the Department of State's Bureau of Energy Resources also has ongoing cooperation with the Japanese government under the Japan-U.S. Mekong Power Partnership, or JUMP, as we call it. JUMP has been supporting Thailand with research and capacity building on a range of topics, including renewable energy grid integration, regional electricity trade facilitation, and national power market development. We're also exploring with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, developing a senior level framework policy dialogue on our efforts on climate change, especially how the U.S. can elevate and deepen our work with the new Department of Climate Change and Environment that was just recently announced. So kind of talking about our stakeholders and our partners, for each of these efforts, we've had a great partnership with Thai agencies, including the Ministry of Energy, EGAT, MEA, PEA, and of course ERC. We've been especially pleased with how forward-leaning ERC has been on exploring kind of new policies with U.S. support, especially under JUMP. For example, we collaborated on a peer review for disruptive and emerging technologies, EV charging regulations, green energy market development, green tariff design, a third-party access framework, and pricing mechanisms and congestion management. And I think we recognize the very high level of expertise at the Thai agencies. And I think we really aim to make these collaborative and not a U.S. government agency coming in and giving just outside advice. And I think one good example of that is, we have an ongoing work with on Thailand's decarbonization pathways, and this has been led by the Department of Energy's Pacific Northwest National Laboratories. They are partnering with Thammasat University's Sindhorn International Institute of Technology, and Thammasat really facilitated stakeholder input with PPNL from EPO, EGAT, MEA, ONEP, BMA, to share the policy issues that they're looking at as they're doing their modeling and the data that they use. And then now Thammasat modelers can use that data and work with these agencies and update that data in real time and then share that data back to the stakeholders so they can incorporate those in the policies decisions as they're looking at new regulations. And then I also wanted to mention kind of our focus on academics. We're working to bring together Thai and U.S. researchers and academics to explore collaboration under the U.S.-Thailand Science and Technology Agreement. So just this June, Thailand's Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research, and Innovation hosted the third joint committee meeting on S&T collaboration, which brought together over 80 participants from U.S. and Thai government and academic institutions. And we discussed our shared research priorities under 4 themes, and one of the 4 themes was on energy and climate mitigation. And so a lot of these tie into each other as we're talking about government and then academics and then how we incorporate the data that we just saw in the last presentation from NTEC into policy decision making and making sure that all of the relevant stakeholders are talking together. And so on my last main slide is really talking about how the private sector plays a vital role and how we engage with U.S. and Thai companies. And the U.S. Embassy really helps foster this relationship in various ways. We bring them into our discussions at the energy policy dialogues. We facilitate companies exploring investment opportunities in Thailand and the U.S. Through our commercial service here at the Embassy. And we connect Thai companies with clean energy technology partners in the U.S. And I just wanted to highlight 2 agreements that were completed in the last few months. Bangchat and Honeywell are working together on the first sustainable aviation fuel plant from used cooking oil. And also U.S. firm EV Lomo and French company Schneider Electric agreed on a deal to deploy state-of-the-art electric vehicle fast chargers at 100 locations across Thailand. This was also with Bangchat. But there are many more from Thai companies investing in the energy sector in the United States. We just heard from Bampu. And also Tesla's a very successful launch into the Thailand EV market. Beyond kind of the deals, I just also wanted to highlight our partnership with ISEC Thailand to hold several women in energy forums focused on empowering women entrepreneurs, business leaders, policymakers. And we just really want to ensure kind of these important perspectives are amplified in our policymaking and our business decisions that are driving this energy transition. Also, USAID has a program, E4C, that works with private energy companies in Thailand and the region that really focuses on workplace diversity and in promoting inclusive workplace environment, including internship programs with these companies. So, looking ahead, I think we're very eager to expand our cooperation with Thailand. And as I've noted, and you heard from other U.S. presenters today, we have a lot going on here. It's really one of the best stories that we have to tell in our bilateral relationship. And we've been able to highlight this a lot this year as we're celebrating 190 years of diplomatic and trade relations between the United States and Thailand. So I thought, similar to what others have said, my departing thought is really for you to help us expand this relationship. I'm sure that there's those of you sitting here that haven't heard about a particular program or an initiative, and you have expertise, or your company or your agency might think of ways that you could plug into that. We're very open to your ideas. And with that, I will just put up the contact information of our team at the economic section at the embassy. We work with 12 different economic and commercial agencies here from the United States that are here at the embassy, and dozens more that are in the United States. So we really see our role as being the coordinating body. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me, reach out to my team, James Shea and Virat, who are in the back, and we'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Brandon. Notice that all of you try to speed up your presentation in order to manage the time. That's why we have available time for Q&A. That 5 minutes. Anybody have question? Maybe you are trying it for the whole day of intensive program. Okay, if not, I would like to say thank you again to all 4 panelists for your presentation, and your many projects have been implemented to Thailand and also all ASEAN countries for a long time. On behalf of ERC Commissioner, we are looking forward to work more closely with your organization on energy transition and climate change in the near future. Thank you very much. Please give a big applause to all of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again. And also, Dr. Bantun are going to deliver and present the special souvenir for our guest speaker. So I'll start from Mr. Bajia Kurt. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. Thank you so much. And next, Mr. Reinhold Alges. Mr. Konradin Razi, please. And last but not least, Mr. Brandon Wilson. Thank you very much to Dr. Bantun as well. Please, you may have a seat and take rest. And now, at the end of the session, for the conclusion, I would like to invite Associate Professor Sutham Yunaitam. Please give him a big round of applause.
Thank you. We had a long day, really, and I don't want to waste your time. But we do agree that we have a very fruitful day today, beginning from exploring what is going on outside Thailand in the world, and we have very good cooperation from the World Bank and from our friends from ASEAN country, from Japan, from other stakeholders, down to private sector in Thailand and private sector in other countries as well. So we are very happy to have this last session in which we have our friend from the US, the Swiss Embassy, and all Germany, and many others. But today we just have only this time. We cannot have more, but we plan to do again. If you come next year, we are going to do a bigger one with the ERA, International RE Investment in Thailand here also, and with other Energy Week as well. So there will be another session that we plan to do the same, and we are very happy to have all our guests, friends, and colleagues to work with us today. So without further ado, I would like to thank all for delegates and representatives from international organizations, from embassies, from ASEAN countries as well, and most of all, thank you for attending the whole day, and thank you. Have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to announce that the conference is come to an end, but we still have a lot more of interesting activities for ERC Forum 2023. Today, we are going to have a wonderful dinner at Ban Suriyasai restaurant for this evening. And please, you can contact the registration counter and check in before we are going to depart to the restaurant, which is we arranged the shuttle van for all of our delegates. So you can check in right in front at the registration counter. So we will depart very soon. And also for the participants who will drive to the Ban Suriyasai restaurant, please park at the Amara Hotel, which is next to like the restaurant นะคะที่บ้านอมรานะคะจะโรงแรมบ้านอมราจะอยู่ถึงก่อนนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าเกิดว่าเลยแล้วนะคะต้องยูเทิร์นกลับมานะเป็น one way นะคะยังไงจะถึงก่อนนะคะตัวของร้านอาหารนะคะ and also for tomorrow program the participants who register to go to the site visit for tomorrow morning at Sinakrin Dam, Kanchanaburi province, we will depart at 8 a.m. sharp. So please come before 8 a.m. which you can contact our staff at the meeting point, gate number 3, LG floor on the lake side of the Queen Circuit National Convention Center. And also please kindly check in and receive the luggage tag before we are going to depart. So thank you very much once again, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day. And all the handouts and the slides from today's speaker, we are also going to upload on ERC website on worldwideweb.erc.or.th or on our Facebook page of ERC. Thank you very much for your attention. I have to say goodbye for now and see you again this evening at the restaurant. สวัสดีค่ะ